step up. All right, it is 6 p.m., so I will call us to order at 6 p.m. With that, we'll move on to roll call.
This is a reminder. Trash and
Sorry, I was hearing something. Matthew Lehane.
Here.
Chris Clark.
Here.
Lee Anderson. Here. Joe Bonds. Kevin Brown. Is online. Chris Collins. Lynn Faust.
Yeah.
Aaron Frank.
Hey, everyone, I'm here online.
Thanks. Deborah Foltz. Greg Goldstein.
Here online.
Jamie Jackson. Linda Lasute.
Here.
Deborah Lately. Cassie Lord. Jim Lynch.
Here.
Rob Maple. Ben Matters. Clay Murray.
Here.
Brian Ogle.
Oh,
Jacob Paswick. I think he's talking to Kate, but maybe I'm wrong. Craig Pennington.
Here.
John Summer.
so Jacob said he can be here tonight.
Oh, that's right. Thank you. Okay, roll has been called. Thank you.
awesome. All right, we will move to item number 3, approval of the January 4th, 2024 BPAC meeting agenda. Do we have a motion?
Move to approve as presented.
All right, do we have a second?
I'll second.
Any discussion? Not all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those against? All right, motion carries. With that, we'll move on to item number 4, approval of the November 2nd, 2023 meeting minutes.
Move to approve as presented.
All right, have a second?
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. With that, we'll move on to item number 5, public comment. Comments and questions from members of the public are welcome at this time. Not, we will close the public comment period and move on to item number 6, discussion and action items. I will hand it off to Carrie for smart to go around 6.
All right, so this is a policy update. As you know, most of this year, they've been doing a big review of Smart Scale. And this is a summary of the December 5th Commonwealth Transportation Board meeting. Next slide. So a summary of the staff recommendations, the final recommendations. There are 4 recommendations here, but we're really going to go over the last 2 because those are the changes that affect the small projects that we care about the most. Well, we care about all of them, but the ones we deal with the most, so we'll highlight them here. Number 3 was they are restricting the high priority projects eligibility to a list of project types, and they're eliminating funding step 2. I'll tell you what that's all about in a moment. And they're removing the land use factor from the scoring process. Next slide. So they're defining HPP eligibility. This regulation affects mainly MPOs and PDCs like us, rather than localities. It broadened slightly from the October recommendation. This list is the types of projects that are eligible. If it's not on this list, it's not eligible. That means new through lanes, roadways, managed lanes, new bridge, interchanges, new transit improvements, new corridor improvements recommended as the preferred alternative in a STARS or a pipeline study. What you don't see on here, bike ped facilities. They're not on here. You can have them as a recommended component of a corridor improvement, part of a highway or bridge project, but not a standalone project. Because this funding stream is state high priority projects. It is not meant to fund a small project. It's meant to fund large, regionally significant projects. This is a big change from the past. Next slide. The next thing they're going to do is remove step 2 from the funding process. Step 1 funded locality projects with district grant program funding. Step 2 allowed small projects that would have fit DGP criteria, but were submitted by MPOs and PDCs like us to be funded by HPP funds before the rest of the projects in step 3. Now, step 2 funded things like the VCR trail project in the last round. So it was very helpful for us. They're going to get rid of that. That means all of our smaller projects, well, we can't have any small projects, but all of our projects will have to compete statewide with areas like Hampton Roads, Northern Virginia, all of these areas that have, for one thing, a lot more leverage funding than we do. And the testing result, they ran a scenario test. They took away step 2 from the funding process. They followed the strict HPP eligibility. And the average funded project went from 15.6 million, which was like the last round, 30 projects, to 31.8 million and 17 projects. So all bike and pedestrian projects were removed from the funding stream, and overall bike and ped projects were reduced from 51 to 15 funded projects. So you can see that this is a huge difference in the types of projects the Smart Scale is going to be funding this round. Next slide. The big shakeup that happened at the last meeting that we were not expecting was they entirely removed land use as a metric in the scoring process. The CTB staff did not recommend this policy, but the members did vote at the last minute to remove this metric. It was historically the single biggest benefit to bike ped projects, and as well as small projects in general, located in small towns and in urban areas alike. Its points will be given to safety and congestion. Our area is type B in the board below. So safety and congestion will now be 20 and 35%. And you can see accessibility, economic development, and environment, and no land use. So that means it's not going to matter nearly as much where a project is located any longer. Next slide. So our summary, round 6 is going to look very different. Without a land use metric, a project's location will be far less important. Small projects can now only be submitted by localities, and bike ped must be part of a roadway project. With projects competing statewide, match funding is going to be very essential. And projects are being currently developed in coordination with VDOT, and pre-applications are due March 31st. And that's what we're all kind of talking about when the meeting was starting. We were talking about our local and regional projects. And the Smart Scale Technical Guide draft will be out for comment imminently, like any day. I know that VDOT folks already have it, and I'm like, waiting till I get to see it. So that's where we are now. If anyone has any questions, or something else?
Carrie, on the immediately previous slide, there was a type A, B, and D. I think you said we were type B. What are those types mean? I know you
So
said-
yeah, so different parts of the state have different transportation problems and needs. We used to be type A. When I first started here in 2017, we were type A. Type A is like Northern Virginia, where congestion is their single biggest problem.
Mhm.
And they just have a different kind of transportation environment than we do. We lobbied to be put down to type B, and our projects have scored much better in that environment. Somewhere like Southwest Virginia is going to be like type D. They don't have any congestion really down there, but they need to worry more about economic development or safety. So that's the scoring mechanisms are different for different parts of the state.
Okay, so type has mainly to do with traffic congestion. Is that one of the primary?
Traffic needs, your needs might be safety or congestion, or depending on your population, your travel volumes, you know, where people are located versus where they're going, that kind of thing.
Okay, good. Well, thank you.
Anything else?
I guess I'll just add, Carrie, correct me if I'm wrong, the FAMPO submitted and was approved for what, $40 million worth of bikes or pedestrian focused projects last round?
No, not that, we did like $45 million worth of projects, and I believe there was a bike ped component to every single one of our projects last
I
year.
know there's one down Route 1, there's the BCR project, I think in the city, takes some part time as well. So those projects will not next.
No, we wouldn't have gotten, we would have gotten nothing of that funded. It was this time.
Luckily, it was done last round. But
Yep,
So, Carrie,
yes.
if a roadway project, in order for a bike ped project
He approved these be part of a roadway project. That would naturally make the roadway project more expensive. Would it be competing against other roadway projects that that's not included, like that component?
Yeah.
So that would put them at a disadvantage.
In the past rounds, the bike ped project would have given the roadway project an advantage, but not this round. It seems. Because no more land use measure. And so we're not entirely certain how it's all going to work. We don't, the scoring is a bit of a black box to us as of yet, but it's definitely not going to be what it was.
So because there's no financial incentive, are there no legal requirements for VDOT, the state, the government or the municipalities to put bike ped incentives in their new road construction?
Well, this is separate from that. So this is a big state, this is the state's largest funding program, but this is just one funding program. This is completely separate from federal requirements and incentives to plan with complete streets and things like that. So this is just this state funding program for this route.
Okay.
There may be future reviews that say taking the land use metric out is it's not, is incongruent with state code. We don't like this, you need to put it back. Like anything could happen. In fact, during the meeting, the legal counsel didn't like that, so I don't know what's gonna happen there, but for now, this is the way it is.
I guess to give you an example as well, I have a project up in North Stafford County, it's gonna be a safety focused project on Route 1. Before this change, was considering adding an extension of sidewalk on the project.
You're the quiet area. You're the quiet area, the set places like that.
Yep, yeah, north of there, yeah. Was considering adding a sidewalk on the Mercedes path on the full length of the project, like 2,000 feet or something. Without the land use metric, that will only significantly hinder the school, so likely will not be adding that on the project.
Yeah.
Because it's not cost beneficial to add it. So you're a lot less likely to get safety improvements if you add this.
Right.
Previously, if you added this, you could probably do pretty well, but now it's a significant change in how we plan.
It just seems counter to the times. We
Oh,
seem
absolutely.
to have been progressively
Absolutely.
working so well, and this just seems like it's
For this,
like a step back.
for this program has completely regressed a decade. And we watched it happen. You can watch the meeting. The last meeting was 10 hours long of arguing. You can watch it regress.
Look at it. Off in the background.
Carrie, does the state trails office play in this in any way?
It's separately funded.
Okay, that's an entirely. But they are supposed to, if I understand it, exercise influence over other projects that might not be directly under their bailiwick, which is why they were put into the highway department.
Yeah, I don't know. They weren't exercising any influence in that room that day.
No influence.
Yeah.
Were they there?
Not that I know of.
Not that you did. Okay.
I guess one last item on this, and also leading into the next item, one of the things I want to look at is now how to help fund bicycle pedestrian projects that we want to construct. I think that flows pretty well to the next item, the Greenway plan with maybe some we can also discuss the Greenway this funding mechanism. Unless there are any further questions, we can move on to the next item.
Okay, so this is something we've been wanting to do for a while. And this is the year we are going to do it. Back in 2020 and 2021, some of you may have been around for this. We did a regional greenway feasibility study. And basically we got together as a whole region and decided what were our priority trails to start to build out a network over time to plan a network. And things have changed over the last few years. Some things have gotten funded, some things have become a higher priority and some things have kind of fallen off. So we want to take some time and update our network to reflect our current priorities. And we're going to do that over the next few months. And so I'm just going to introduce this project. So, here's the background. So we did this with a grant from the Department of Urban Forestry. We got together with representatives from all the localities, planning staff, the folks at BPAC were the core of the stakeholder group. We did several meetings and we came up with this network with 2 priority levels. Some of them have since been funded. There are new paths to add, so it's time to update. Next slide. So this is real small, but this is the network that we came up with in 2021. The first tier is red, although it's really hard to see this, but you can see this online. And some of these have since been funded. The pink dots are the East Coast Greenway, and that's kind of the spine for our network. And the yellow is the second tier, but some of those are going to be funded more quickly. But you get the general idea. We want to build out a network that connects our entire region as well as we can. So some of the things we want to think about is there are changes in Caroline. The East Coast Greenway is likely to route down US 1 instead of on some of those other roads there. In Stafford, there have been some changes from the East-West study and the master plan. You've got the Chatham Heights connection you want to work on. Spotsylvania, I've got like 4 pages of email from Jacob about where they want to focus their efforts.
Well, good for them.
Anybody who knows Jacob knows that that's how he does.
Yeah.
In Fredericksburg, they're focusing on the VCR crossing upgrades and other important connections. And in King George, you guys want to figure out how to eventually connect the Great Dahlgren Railroad Heritage Trail to the rest of the network. Because that will be quite an awesome, long, great thing there.
Well, it's in there now, of course. You know,
Well, it's
like
in there now.
We, Chris and I have been talking about some little, tweaks to that particular routing that we want to discuss and
Right.
talk about.
However, we can make it more feasible.
Yeah, of course, the critical thing for the railroad trail, as great as it is we need to get it in public hands.
Right.
As a private
Yeah.
trail, the only thing that you can guarantee as a private trail is that sooner or later, it will go away.
Right, I know,
So
right.
we need to avoid that.
So next slide. So the way we're going to do this is each locality is going to give an update on any changes to their bike ped network priorities. What's been funded, built, what do we need to change for the routes, what's no longer feasible, where have your priorities shifted, and how this is going to affect the Greenway network. Will a new route replace a previously identified connection? So are some connections less important? Are any routes no longer feasible? Are there any critical connections that we've identified in recent studies that we didn't know about before? Like what needs to be updated? So that's what we're going to do with each presentation. Next slide. So our schedule, our first presentation is going to be at our next meeting in March. Chair Lehane is going to give us an update on what Stafford is doing. And then in May, he doesn't know it yet, but Jacob is going to give us our Spotsylvania update. And then Vice Chair Chris Clark is going to give us our July King George update. And then for Fredericksburg, I need to talk to Mike Craig and see if he can take care of Fredericksburg for us, or it's going to be me. And then Mr. Pennington, if we can talk about Caroline in November, that would be great. And then we can add all of our Greenway amendments to the forthcoming LRTP update when we are going to be doing that next year. We can get everything sorted out and updated, because getting things into the LRTP and then getting the highest priority trails into the CLRP, which is the fiscally constrained list of projects, is how you start to get them funded. And we can't do that if we don't know what the entire region's highest priorities are. Next slide. So that's it.
Good job.
Project for the year.
Hey, Carrie, remind us or remind me of the memory lapse, for this piece that we're doing, this project we're working on here. Exactly what is the definition of a greenway?
Yeah, so we have a very wide definition of what a greenway is because we are a transportation planning agency. And because it's easier for us to fund paths that are along roadways or in networks of roadways, a greenway for us is anything that gets you out of a car and
Okay,
from one green space to another green space.
okay, that works.
Yeah.
I like that.
The VCR trail, the Fredericksburg Canal Trail, any of our trails, they might be along a roadway, but they will take you from one green place to another, right? They will take you outside. So they're great. Mhm. And our Greenway network, to me, our Greenway network is the backbone of our trail system. What the most important connections that get us around the region, and then off of that network comes our sort of auxiliary trails. But what really connects the region are those important foundational trails. And that's what we need to focus on.
And are these focused on shared use paths or sidewalks or both?
Shared use paths. Yeah. Yeah, these are definitely shared use paths.
I guess I'll just add from a staff perspective, one of the reasons for wanting to update this plan is we actually have 4 studies recently completed or ongoing related to bicycle and pedestrian needs. We have a study completed in 2021 on the US 17 kind of southern gateway area,
Yeah.
basically west of I-95. That was funded by the Office of Environmental Planning and Investment. We, through FAMPO, have funded a very similar study up on Harrison Road, west of I-95. We have our master plan, which is looking at a prioritization of projects as well as multimodal activity centers. So 10 to 15 of them throughout the county who are prioritizing bicycle pedestrian improvements, as well as a Stafford Heritage Trailway master plan funded by the Office of Environmental Planning and Investment as well. That's basically looking at a north-south trail through Stafford, finding what the correct corridor for that is, generally east of I-95. And then we've also actually recently attended Prince William County's Potomac Heritage Trail meeting or subcommittee they had, and have a short discussion with them about our connection in North Stafford as well. So a lot going on and a lot that will need to be updated. So our master plan will be presented in February. And all of those studies should be wrapping up, if they're not already completed, in February as well. So there'll be a lot coming up for Stafford in terms of planning efforts, as well as really the major component of plan everything. But we also need to find a way to fund it. And we do have a couple of methods that I think will prove quite fruitful for funding bicycle and pedestrian projects in Stafford and North Stafford and South Stafford. So we'll have a blueprint and funding mechanism for those as well. So looking forward to discussing that in March, and getting people's thoughts on that, on how we can move forward.
Excellent. Any other questions? All right.
Moving right along. Hi, everybody. I'm Coley Chuzel. If you haven't seen me, I think you're the only person who hasn't, so hi. And hello, I'm behind the camera. To those folks online. I'm here for the Bicycle and Pedestrian Counter Program update. We have 2, one with VDOT, which is located on Chatham Bridge right here. So this is looking towards the city of Fredericksburg. And this is a permanent counter. Our second counter is the FAMPO counter, and it's moved around, which you will see in the present, actually, go through the presentation. So, the Chatham, we started this back up in July, so July 1st is when we started counting data, which you'll see the cumulative data here. It's a total of over 37,000. And with the peak count, it changed from the July, I think it was July 4th, or somewhere around the July 4th, there was a run. And that was only, let's see, 1,000. And you see this big old jump. So just another event.
Wow, yeah.
So it was pretty
Sure.
cool that that the peak count changed.
It's good that they were able to get there and we can see the results of the efforts though, that all of those people who were able to traverse.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
And it's much safer than it was prior to.
right.
So, I mean, the glass half full perspective is that it really is working, it's just takes quite some time.
Yeah.
to get there.
Mhm.
Right, and then you see the total from the last time I shared data for the October 25th to December 19th was over 11,000 as well. So then this just shows the data a little more spread out. And then, of course, the cumulative data as well. Then we'll go on to our temporary counters. So the first location that we had it was Spotsylvania County at Hospital Boulevard. Here's a photo of it. There's the Bojangles over here, so the apartments, the hospital over here. Sorry, I don't know if you can really see this arrow or not. But anyways, so the total, this was 19 days. With a total of 789, daily average of 39, and a peak day of 63.
And that's sort of like at the end, toward the end of that path, like, that's why they wanted it, why Jacob wanted it put there. He sort of wanted to see like if people made it out all the way there. So they wanted to try and extend it farther. So even a path that isn't really going anywhere at this point still sees
Yeah,
a steady number of people.
I will note this, I think a few hundred townhomes and homes being built at that as well.
Yeah.
So that'll probably increase the traffic out there.
Yes.
yeah.
They built a pretty cool new shared use path.
Cool.
Are there some patches that, like you said, like that one kind of ends, it doesn't go to anywhere? Are there other patches in that area where you have some bike ped areas, but people maybe stop at that point because it doesn't quite connect to the rest of it, where we could kind of connect the dots eventually?
Well, I think that the new homes that are being built are gonna be proffering paths going towards.
That area is actually really well built out.
Yeah.
There's one that runs from that area all the way out to, there's a new Sheets at the end of Spotsylvania, near the end of Spotsylvania Parkway.
Yeah.
It runs, what's that, 3 or 4 miles out there?
The one,
Oh, yeah, that's where the
That's where this counter is.
Bojangles
Oh,
and
Yeah.
Sheets, yeah.
Then it runs west out.
It runs west almost,
Yes.
almost to,
The Sheets is the north corner, yeah.
they're
Yeah.
trying to get it all the way to Courthouse Road. That's the
Wow.
eventual, and it goes really far towards it. It's
It's a good path.
that'd be
Great.
impressive.
And then obviously VDOT's doing the improvements at US 17th Bridge, and widening that intersection. That bridge has a shared use path. It's actually, if you want to see a bridge and shared use path under construction, it's about half built right now. They just paved it last week.
Is it?
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, it's pretty cool out there.
Been out there.
Yeah.
So it'll have a shared use path basically from the target all the way to the Sheets now.
Mhm.
And that'll connect to the shared use path as well. So
Yeah, on the other side of Route 1, it goes almost unbroken most of the way to a way. Yeah.
I'll just add, Carrie, I don't know if you have it in there, pictures, but I think Jacob put in comments as well, that one of their recently approved data centers has a shared use path going past the Sheets, another 1 or 2 intersections east. That'll be another 2,000 shared use path.
They're doing a good job of concentrating their network in one area.
Yes, and then this shows the hourly total, from that whole time frame. So. And then the second location, temporary location, was for 21 days. This was Lafayette and, Route 3 by the VCR trail. So it was located, if you could see my mouse cursor, about right here, actually more like right here. Yeah. And so this was a total of 2,321 with a daily average of 105 and the peak count was 204.
Are these counting, riders on road there?
No,
No.
so that's why if you see the pictures, here, you'll see that it's turned like a specific way depending on where the path is. So it's turned, so the sensors, sorry, the people online can't see me, but the sensors are located on this side, so it's pointing away from. So when I go out and install it, I do a number of tests to make sure that it doesn't actually count, the cars or anything like that.
Okay. So it's intended only to count walkers or bike riders that are on the
Yeah,
path,
that
Right.
that's going like
not
that.
riders on the
The bikes
road.
over there.
It looks
Exactly.
funny, but it does like 15 feet that way.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why it looks, that's
Yeah.
why I asked. 'Cause it-
Yeah.
So it's pointed like
Yeah.
this, so the path
Yeah.
is like over here,
Yeah.
you can see my cursor, and then, yeah.
And it counts riders and.
Walkers, yes.
It doesn't differentiate between the two, but, yes, it does, or, if a stray deer happens to pass it, it'll
Yeah,
detect
count
like
that
the
sucker.
heat. So, but yeah,
Okay, good, thank you.
and then again, the hourly total for Lafayette, for those 21 days.
Actually, yeah, you can show him the sensors on this
Yeah, it's
picture.
right here. You see those
Oh,
two-
Somehow I had the idea that it was coming out.
Yeah. So this is, the River Road Trail leading up to John Lee Pratt Park. So the trail, like, it sort of turns this way, down to River Road. And this is, so it's coming up that path towards John Lee Pratt. And then, so yeah, the sensors are counting everybody going this way. And then it's located about
And Coley,
right here.
when did you start counting them? Was it?
So this was the third location. This was November 17th through December 18th. Was 31 days. It was my longest one.
So do we have a summer versus winter, traffic data yet?
Not yet. Yeah, so we
Like-
just,
Okay,
yeah,
so I'm thinking this is gonna be.
unless it was like years and years ago, you might have it. From like 2017 maybe, but
We can, Carrie can include something, and I guess Carrie maybe.
Yeah, we
that
can-
meeting. There's a presentation at the January BPAC 2 years ago. And it included count data when the counter was on the canal path, and it was there for 1 year. So you can see the full range of a year's worth of data. Your peaks are in April and September.
Oh,
Yeah,
cool.
people like the,
Okay, I was thinking.
The mild-
In like June, July, August.
at the
Yep.
top then.
I guess it's too, oh,
Yeah.
yeah, okay.
Yeah, for these, our plan is to put the counter in the same place during cooler months and warmer months, so we can kind of get like,
See what happens.
right, so we'll stick this sucker like, maybe June, May or June, in the same place to see. Kind of thing. Kind of opposite times of the year, basically.
Yeah.
The same places.
yeah, so the total for this one, wait, did I already say this? Anyways, it's 2,396, daily average 75, and the peak day, December 9th was 156.
Does it help our, to advocate for a case that if the city wanted to hold some sort of, like the turkey trot or something like that, a running event or a biking event, that we can handle a couple thousand entries in some sort of event, and this would help the case, because it's like, yeah, look, we've got
Yeah, you can
hundreds and
see.
hundreds of people going across these areas.
Yeah.
When it
So,
was on the canal path, it averaged 1,000 per day. Just put it into perspective, the canal
Yeah.
path is probably the highest,
mhm,
used trail in the region.
awesome.
Good point. Yeah. I never thought of using it for that.
And then the city could look at that and be like, "Look, where do you think they're going after this? They're gonna need a pier, they're gonna need the bike shop, they're gonna need the shoe store. Let's make events."
For sure.
Not a lot of events. up
Well,
there.
if you're going to, if you're gonna organize an event, let us know if you need that. If we've got that data, we can just be like, here you go, yeah.
Totally. And then it is currently located Spotsylvania Parkway Trail, near White Hart Drive. So this is White Hart Drive right here. There's I forget what this is.
It's a club.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, and then you can see it, the sensors are on this side, pointing towards the trail.
There you go.
Any questions, y'all?
Just one question, what are the next steps? Are we doing like every 6 months, so like 2 in Spotsy, 2 in the city, 2 in Stafford, or kind of how are we proceeding with the next?
So, we are basically going to, every 6 months, we're gonna put it in the same place again, roughly, the same site. So we're gonna see how the sites do summer and winter. If that makes sense to you all, or would you rather we just do?
I think that's perfect. I
Okay.
was mostly just wondering, there's 4 sites, what are the next 2 sites?
Right, well, if you noticed, I emailed you and been like, where would you like me to put it next? But we'll come to a point where
Yep.
we need to move it back,
Yeah, makes sense.
and we're gonna probably get to that spot pretty soon.
Well, I can certainly give you one more site for the second staff.
Okay,
Selfishly, how much do those things cost and? how
they're like 3,000.
would that all-
And then there's a monthly or yearly fee for each of them.
Yeah, there's some maintenance fee,
Sure.
and I forget exactly how much it
Some
is.
sort of dashboard that you
subscription.
upload it to? or-
Yeah, it's yeah, it's a data subscription
It's
thing.
Minute by minute updates, or half an hour updates or something.
Not anymore, because it's all, the 5G network, and these are like 3G, so we actually have to, Coley goes out there with the cell phone and downloads it and brings it back here, and
Oh, Lord.
so if you want like a new fancy 5G one, they're much more.
James, that'll work in the monthly fee.
Yeah, these are old 3G ones.
We had a comment from Clay Murray, who asked, are we conveying these numbers to Stafford or Spotsy Board of Supervisors? Might give them data to pursue funding.
We should do that, and also, I think we were trying to talk to you guys about like seeing if you wanted to pursue getting a counter through SS4A or through some other kind of funding. Like, it would be good if all the localities had a counter.
Would love to have 3 or 4 permanent counters in Stafford for this use, that'd be fantastic. I guess just also on that question to add as well, you'll notice that was 1 counter on the Chatham Bridge, and then 1 counter on the Belmont Ferry Farm Trail, a few hundred feet away. So we'll be using that to help push for a potentially a bicycle and pedestrian project at the end of the current terminus of the Belmont Ferry Farm Trail to go up Kings Highway to Chatham Heights Road. To show that there are people using between these 2 locations. You can extend it, and there would be users who would use it.
Yeah,
It's kind of a part of the planning effort with this the goal was 1 on Chatham Bridge. We have a temporary counter on the location of the Belmont Ferry Farm Trail. We use that data to help us move forward.
yeah, that's what these are for, to try and get more things built.
Just my personal experience while I've been out installing, especially for or collecting data, especially for Chatham, the Chatham Bridge. People will not go under the Chatham Bridge. They'll just cross across, and it's super dangerous. But they're trying to just go up Chatham Heights. And it doesn't make sense to like go around it and then go through Chatham Manor to get to Chatham Heights, so,
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
it's
what it
somewhat of a safety issue to go under that bridge.
Yeah.
It doesn't feel safe to the person, whether it's safe or not. They've changed it up, but it used to be that people could hide up under that bridge. You wouldn't see them until you were on it. They weren't necessarily doing anything nefarious. They were just there kind of trying to be invisible. But it is, it kind of takes you back when you're walking along and all of a sudden there's a person within an arm's reach.
Mhm.
And so I know a lot of people who would not go underneath there because they had that happen enough times. You can see the cow path when they go up right up to Route 1. You can see where everybody's locked up and then they cross. I think I'm talking about the same place.
yeah, so anyways, that would be helpful.
Connie, let me ask you a question. The accounts together are all very interesting. Do we have any idea about the context of like how our trail multi-use paths relates to other multi-use paths? Are we more use, less use? Is there any ways to relate what our experience accounts is to other localities?
Like comparable areas.
Yeah, comparable areas.
There's a lot of variables though
Oh, yeah.
there, Jim, like, it would be hard to figure out what's apples to apples in that situation.
Yeah, I was just wondering if anyone had ever tried to take a top-down look
Right.
from the cloud height of a whole bunch of areas.
A place to start, I mean, we have the data for Virginia, right? We like,
Isn't there
we're
state-
on that dashboard for the
With
entire state.
VDOT, right.
Because our Chatham counter reports to the entire state dashboard of all the counters. So we could compare to other places around the state. Some of them small, like ours. So that might be a place to look.
Could potentially ask VDOT to do a presentation about all the data. Like, since they're looking at it all the time and I'm just looking at Chatham Bridge.
And they may even have such a presentation, actually,
Yeah.
like Shane might have done something like that
Right.
recently.
Oh, yeah. Totally.
Or he might like be willing to do something remote or something.
Mhm.
So we could look into that.
It might be interesting, but, yeah, you know.
Arlington County also has a dashboard as well, like 40+ cameras on there. Not sure if it's the most comparable, but
Yeah, probably not very comparable.
there is
but yeah.
interesting data on there.
I bet
Yeah,
there is. Yeah, that would
I
be-
was thinking maybe like a Roanoke or something, something close to our size, yeah, Arlington would be unfair.
Yeah.
Well, I used to be on BPAC in Roanoke, so I could ask.
That's cool.
Hmm.
You know that.
As a volunteer, not as a staff member.
It's all good.
Unless there's any further questions, thank you, Julie. We will look forward to the next presentation in March.
Hey, Chair, this is Aaron Frank. A quick comment.
Yep, go for it.
Thank you. First, colleague, great data. I was particularly interested in the Lafayette Route 3 counts. And I'm not sure where that stood in terms of what we were all expecting, but it's always nice to see 3-digit figures. But I think this is going to be a particularly interesting one to watch because of the Fredericksburg Park development. So just something to keep in mind as we get our next data set in the summer is I'm curious personally if there's going to be much of a change in population based on those buildings continue to be occupied, and hopefully that influences some even higher trail usership. So just wanted to pass along that comment and kudos for getting the collection there.
Thanks, Aaron.
Awesome, thank you. With that, we will move on to correspondence.
We have no correspondence. It was the holidays. It was the holidays. We just haven't done anything. It's a weird. Yeah, slow time.
Happy holidays. That was
Happy
the cool
holidays.
song.
With that, move the staff reports.
Nothing to report. We are, except that we are interviewing for an intern, wish us luck.
Type of work.
all around. We need somebody to do a little bit of everything for us. Yeah, we're very busy around here. We just need another pair of hands.
So, this would be a paid intern,
Oh, yeah.
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
Don't say, oh, yeah, it's not.
Oh, I mean,
The only way you can.
I started life as an unpaid intern, but you don't do things like that anymore.
Unless it's first class credit or something.
Well, it is for class credit, but yeah. I started here as a paid intern myself. And so did you.
Has FAMPO ever done unpaid?
I don't know,
I
but
think
by the
that's-
time I got here, it was a paid internship.
Yeah, I think it's always been paid. That was kind of a thing that the belief in FAMPO was don't do unpaid work.
I was an unpaid intern at the Park Service, but that was 20 years ago.
Yeah. I think there are unpaid internships like for, nonprofits. Like I know our local chapter of the, Sierra Club has unpaid interns.
Yeah, that's it for my staff report.
With that, we'll move on to member reports. I'll just ask that we, keep it short, and there's everybody's time. First,
Oh, good. No.
all right, we'll skip there and then we'll go back around.
I would like to report that we are entering our 50th year as a program. Officially, we are now in our 50th year, so I thought that was kind of cool.
That is cool.
Thank you.
Smart scales our world right now. Karen's doing a beautiful job.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
We had ride with Santa, and usually we make it almost like an Easter egg hunt where you have to hunt for Santa, like ride and find him. And then the guys at the last minute decided that they wanted to announce it, so we had quite a turnout for it being as cold as it was, but we had a lot of kids come out, and then my husband works with a supervisor who had a Grinch costume, so we dressed up one of our alum, who is now writing for Liberty University. He was home for winter break, and so we had Santa and the Grinch out on the trails for winter break.
Nice.
Yeah, the only thing I particularly have to report is that the National Park Service is hiring a trail expert to conduct a condition assessment of the Dalton Railroad Trail. So we're enthusiastic about that. We think that would help us to guide our maintenance activities and also where we should be applying for grants. So, and that's all I can.
King George, we're having our, part of the role of West this year is the development small area plan. We're having our kickoff meeting Carrie, and hopefully somebody from BDOT, maybe, I don't know if Cassie's got time or not, but she's on the invite.
We have we have two people coming around, supposedly.
Pop Yard Farm, part of their proffers was a shared use path along Fort Conway Road. They have completed it. Essentially, they're doing bunch of stuff now. It's a couple areas that flooded out, so there needs some under drains. I don't think they've cut the ADA accessibility through the one weekend yet, but that'll be done, and eventually that will be hopefully accepted by our board, so that it will be my problem with Parks and Recreation and not theirs to CHOA. And then we turned over 3 of our 5 supervisors this year, so we have some new people to socialize what all that means. The good stuff that we do. So I got a little work in front of me.
Awesome. I guess yeah, we can do online first. Anybody online want to give a member report?
Hey, everybody, Aaron Frank, the city citizen representative, and real quick, Nothing much happening from City Pathways Committee over the holidays. As it seems like things have been pretty slow, but did just want to report out that there is a change in City Council as of just a few days ago, and the two new councilors have been vocally supportive of bike ped infrastructure. So with the continuing staff work, it's nice to have some supportive political tailwinds. So that's encouraging. And then timely enough, this is a little unrelated to this group's mission in terms of in Fredericksburg, but everybody should listen to the episode of The Daily from today. It was on pedestrian safety. So nice to see the conversation being elevated nationally like that.
All right, thank you. Anyone further online wish to give a member report? All right, if not,
I forgot to say that today is my 7th anniversary at FAMPO. But, all right. It's a nice place to work. Yeah, here's my cake. Decaf coffee.
never take on Monday. Yeah. With that, I'll just close this out. A lot going on in Stafford. I mentioned several bicycle pedestrian studies currently going on earlier. Just look forward to presenting some of that to our board in February, as well as further to BPAC hopefully in March. Really, yeah, our main effort right now is smart scale and transportation master plan. So information forthcoming hopefully, and we'll go forward from there. Alright, with that, unless there's anything further, we'll close this out. Thank you.
The shortest BPAC ever.
Holiday gift.
That's right.
Wow. I can't.
Thanks, y'all.
believe it.